My goal this past summer was to bike to Montreal in one day. This might seem a bit odd to some of you, but long bicycle trips are apparently normal for ministers of this congregation. In fact, if you read the Thursday e-news, 100 years ago, one of my predecessors, the Reverend Harry Hersey, went on a 836-mile bicycle tour through New England. 3 years ago, it took me 2 days to bike to Montreal. Last year, I biked the 120-mile trip in one day, but I felt miserable doing it. This year, this past summer, I wanted to bike to Montreal in one day and enjoy it. So about 3 months before the trip, I started preparing. I studied the route on Google Maps, and I could visualize myself doing it, crossing that big bridge near Cornwall. I got professionally fitted for my bike. And since I didn't have a lot of time each day, I trained about 1 to 2 hours every other day. And I fit in a longer ride every week or so. My training involved HIIT, H-I-I-T, or in high intensity interval training. For those of you that don't know, it's you pedal really, really fast, and then pedal slower, pedal really, really fast, get your heartbeat up, and then pedal slower. I figured that if I could do 60 miles comfortably, I could do 120 comfortably. I learned a lot in my research, which involved listening to podcasts and things, about how our bodies function over long endurance workouts. We need fuel. We need fuel for long and distance workouts. So simple carbohydrates, which sometimes we try to avoid in our regular daily lives, are actually really good. There's the way that our bodies most efficiently can take in energy. And we need to take regular breaks. It's not all that complicated. To enjoy a long bike ride, you need to eat and drink the right things and take regular breaks. The training became addictive. Think, runner's high. I was taking advantage of every good weather day I could, whenever I could. It felt good. But even as I was getting in really good shape and improving my times, and I would fill my bottles with sugary electrolyte mixes, make sure my tires were fully inflated, apply sunscreen, map out my route, get on my bike and start riding. And within minutes, I would ask myself, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this? This isn't fun. This is difficult. This is a struggle. This is boring. This is a slog. The one thing that kept me going was the goal, Montreal. Over time, I learned that sloggy first 20 minutes was completely natural and happens to just about everyone. In fact, what happens is it takes about 20 minutes or so for our body to produce dopamine and serotonin and all these other feel-good chemicals in our body. So maybe this is where we are at as a congregation at times. In the 20-minute slog. The pandemic happened just 4 years ago. Our building was completely shut down for over a year. Our congregation shrunk. But the amount of work still is the same or even more. Sensing there are less people doing the same amount of work, our church council retreat this past year was a real retreat. We spent less time on planning and business stuff. We worshiped together. We did yoga. We played games. We had time for contemplation. We got to know each other and time to share good food with each other. During the slog of congregational life, we might be asking ourselves, why are we doing this? This isn't fun anymore. This is a struggle. Why do we do this thing called church? Is it all worth it? Over the past few years, I've been reading what social scientists have been saying about trends in religious life in the US. Younger generations aren't coming like older generations have. We are living in a great turning away from organized religion. Yet, in my estimation, the need for our liberatory faith and our type of spirituality is still there. Less and less people are looking for an institution to belong to. People are not just going to come through the wooden double doors of our Main Street entrance like they once did. Sunday morning is no longer a universal sacred time in our culture. And that is why we are planning events outside of Sunday morning that fill people's spiritual and religious needs. There is no doubt that our culture is changing. We can read about it, we can notice it, even get down about it and grieve about it, and do something about it right here, right now. We can be creative and come up with new ways to minister and serve people where they are at. I'm just thinking of a couple examples here. The summer RE program that Carol Zimmerman led. It met a need for several families in this last week of August when parents are working and kids don't have school yet, and no other camps are available. There was worship, play, learning, and care going on there. My kids came home singing Spirit of Life and Come, Come, Whoever You Are. Another example, Cliff and Larissa from the Communications Committee challenged me earlier this year to have a UU 101 class for the wider community. I called it Navigating the Spiritual Journey, and about 10 non-members came, and we now meet monthly in a listening circle. The long journey begins from beneath our feet. We cannot change the wider culture, but we can focus on our goal. Our goal is our mission. I don't necessarily mean our mission statement. That was an articulation from about 7 years ago. By mission, I mean, what is at our core? What made Universalists gather almost 199 years ago? My guess is probably something like this. We want to grow in spirit and faith and meaning. We want to build beloved community. And we want to help heal the world. Hopefully it is all three of those for all of us, but my guess is that one of those may ring truer than maybe the other two. For some of us, it's the spirituality, it's the worship and the small group ministries. For others, it's the justice work or just the people. But here's the bottom line. For us to achieve our mission, our goal, we need money to pay for staff, programming, and our building. We could not be a congregation without our pledges. Our 2025 draft budget says that 84% of our revenue should come from our pledges. It is our #1 revenue source. Our pledge goal is $254,000. That is about $10,000 more than we raised last year. The extra money is for employee cost of living increases and to celebrate our bicentennial. Our 2025 canvas, remembering our past, celebrating our present, and securing our future, with two U's in there, future, I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's got two U's. Our 2025 canvas starts today. Many of you will be canvassed one-to-one and have important conversations about our present, our past, and our future. We're the only one left. Think about it. Think about all the other Unitarian and Universalist congregations that were in St. Lawrence County alone. 30 or 40 or so. We're the only one left. And I surmise one of the reasons that we are the only one left is because we had the bold vision to create St. Lawrence University. And other Universalists had a bold vision to create what is now SUNY Canton. We are only around because of us. Presently, we have a lot to celebrate as a congregation. The summer RE program, which I just mentioned, hopefully inspiring words and ritual that is offered, and music that is offered every Sunday. The wider justice work that's going on here, just to highlight a couple things, you the vote, promoting our state's equal rights amendment, and the medical aid and dying bill, which a few of us have traveled to Albany to lobby for. The communications committee, also known as COMCOM, has been doing a great job getting our name out there in the news and in social media. They're doing this for the Jazz and Coffee Nights, the World Spiritual Practices Project, the Rumi for example, the Rumi in the Garden, the sold out shamanism workshops that we're going to be doing again. We've done a lot of training and work. In many ways, we are just getting warmed up. And yes, it may feel like a slog at times, but being mission focused will get us through. I give to this congregation because I believe in our liberatory faith. I want a place of love and open spiritual exploration for my children. They live thousands of miles away from their aunts, uncles, cousins, and grandparents. I want that expanded sense of inclusive love and community that only we can give. But even if they live closer to family, I would still want them rooted in justice, in interdependence, in generosity, in equity, and in transformation. We give for the future, not just for our children. We want people of all ages to say, I didn't know there was a place like this where my questions, my authentic self, my doubts, my hopes are all honored and even shared. Here you fit in as a queer atheist. Here you fit in as a trans, out-of-the-box thinking theist. Here you fit in as a hetero who finds divinity in the earth. We learn together and we grow together. Your pledge pays for our changed lives and for future changed lives. Your generosity creates a spiritual home for ourselves right now and for all those we do not know yet. A few weeks ago, I talked about the consumer story, which goes something like this. Each one of us is out for ourselves, and that is good. We extend out our care to family and friends, maybe, but that's it. In the consumer story, every organization, including churches, are there to meet our needs. Our task as consumers is to earn money and spend it on a plethora of things. The consumer story is hyper-individualistic. It is leaving us alone and isolated. The consumer story is deadly for the environment. The consumer story is depleting our spirits and bankrupting the balance of life. In contrast, the citizen story, it's about relationship, partnership, collaboration. And that is exactly what we do here. We give and receive. We pledge and give to this congregation not as consumers, but as interdependent citizens. At about the 20-minute mark, you start to get thirsty. When you're biking, it's a good thing to think about. Every 20 minutes, take some water. We need energy and fuel for this journey. The fuel is spiritual. It's our creativity, it's our ingenuity, our connection to one another, our smarts, our sense of the sacred, our ability to find peace through stillness. And it's our internal calling of the human spirit. With training, with breaks, with the right fuel, I made it to Montreal in one day. I enjoyed the jazz festival. I enjoyed croissants. But in fact, at about the 110-mile mark, while on the Lachine Canal Path, crowded with commuters on e-bikes and spandex exercisers, nobody passed me. I was still going strong. It was like, I don't know, like I was on a mission or something. Let's keep our eyes on the prize, and we will get through the slog. After all, this journey of nearly 200 years began with a single step. Our great granite building began as a hole in the earth. Like the great eastern white pine, we began as a small seed. Rooted together, we are easy to nourish and fuel with the spirit of life. And we give generously and graciously grow in spirit, gather in beloved community, always bending life towards justice. So may it be, and amen.